For the second time in 2024, the ChampCar iRacing series is headed to VIR. We've raced on the full layout mid-season. Now we race on the North Course as we begin to reach the tail end of the 12 rounds of ChampCar iRacing series for 2024. Taking a look at some of that beautiful November, December weather in Virginia. Well, those are pretty pretty good ambient temps, track temps, mostly cloudy in the sky. It was threatening rain. Perhaps there was a little bit of rain earlier. Hopefully it'll be dry for the majority of the race. 11 miles an hour of wind from the north. So good, staying in Virginia with that. And this, of course, the North Course, 2.25 miles long, a little shorter than the full configuration here at VIR, but still reasonably sized. In fact, that's pretty much a mid-Ohio length of racetrack for a 1 hour race here in the ChampCar iRacing series. To bring you all of this live coverage, myself, David Haynes, with Devin Peters, Michael Derby. And it's an interesting car that we find ourselves in for today's racing, Devin.
Yeah, it's the cheap beauty of racing in a front-wheel drive car that doesn't have a lot of power, that has a lot of nimbleness and a lot of durability, I'd say. And, it gives that unique character of racing where you got cars door to door, beating and banging, giving each other bumps down the straightaway. I expect we'll see all of that and more today. And I'm looking forward to a good one. It's always fun to see you see the driver shine through when the cars aren't anything special.
I mean, they're a little special. They're a turbocharged 4-cylinder, 5-speed sequential front-wheel drive hot little hatch, the Renault Clio Cup car. With an hour of racing ahead of us, we're just getting towards the tail end of qualifying. And this, one of our front-wheel drive specialists, I think fair to say, Ian Giebler, has the best qualifying time in previous years of the ChampCar iRacing series when we've run different front-wheel drive cars. He's been competitive in the front-wheel drive touring cars. He's been competitive in even the Volkswagen Jetta. So when the drive is from the front, Ian Giebler will drive towards the front.
Yeah, it's a strong qualifying session from Ian so far. But the margins aren't that big right now. And we're going to see, I think, consistency play a big role around here. It's a tricky little layout, this VIR North, and in the rain or in the damp, it gets even trickier. So it'll be interesting to see how these conditions hold up.
So, taking a look at where qualifying stands at the moment, Ian Giebler from Andy Cosick, from Colin Lounsbury, some really good long-time ChampCar iRacing Series competitors you might see at your local racetrack in the ChampCar Endurance Series. It's one of the things we're racing for this year is our season-long champion is getting a really big chunk of ChampCar credit to put towards racing in the real world. So if they're already a ChampCar member competing with us, well, they have a chance to really improve their racing next year. If they're an iRacer, a sim racer who hasn't raced with the ChampCar Endurance Series yet, we are going to give them a taste. So whichever way it goes, we're bringing these worlds together of the iRacing sim races and the real world ChampCar Endurance Series races. And whichever way it goes, someone's going to be pretty happy with the prize they take away at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's always special, and one of the cool parts of this series that it gives the chance for the virtual racers to take those virtual talents and put them behind the wheel of a real race car. And I think the cross section of disciplines, you go from your live axle FR 500S Mustang all the way to these turbocharged sequential little Renault Clio front wheel drive cars. You're guaranteeing that you're getting a driver who's pretty competent behind the wheel of your real race car. So it's a cool pipeline that we got here.
Those other drivers inside of the top 5 qualifying at the moment, Ryan Carwile and his Tim Wire in 5th. Looks like maybe he's getting a little bit of a tow off his friend, compadre, teammate Ian Giebler. Here's a look at the onboard from Tim Wire. I think this is a car that will get at least a little bit of a slipstream, a little bit of a tow around here. Now, unlike the full course where you've got the Madison Avenue back straight as well to slipstream, mainly just the front straight on this North course, as we're taking that infield part of the racetrack that you only get if you run either the Patriot course or the North course or the Grand West or East layouts. So not quite as common from ChampCar competition, IMSA competition, etc. We do race the North Course.
Yeah, it's one of those layouts that's more of a club focused layout, I'd say. It's still a fun one though. It's got a lot of the most interesting corners. One of the most famous corners. We got roller coaster, we got hog pen, we got NASCAR, we got left hook, we got the lower S's. But then halfway up the straight, they're gonna take a hard right and they're gonna go through this tricky section, turns 7 through 10. Though if you counted them, you might find a few more than 3 in there. And it's a tricky set of climbing S's that's going to dump them off with a big head of speed at roller coaster. Looks like that's our session, Haynes.
So we're ready almost to go for round 11 of the ChampCar iRacing series in 2024. Things are looking beautiful in a late afternoon at VIR North. Look at those flag-waving skills from Barney at the start-finish line there. So it's about to lock in the grid result. Ian Giebler went even faster there as he was trying to tow around Tim Wire. But Tim Wire was not able to improve from 5th place. So it is super, super competitive at the top spots here. Just a couple of tenths of a second between them all and only a few drivers left who can complete lap times and potentially go faster. Looking at Michael Thorne here, one of your countrymen. Got a couple of Canadians hanging around. In fact, I think we're almost like 30% Canadian here for today's racing.
Well, it's gone and dumped a whole bunch of snow on us up here. So I think there's a lot of Canadians looking outside and figuring, do I have to shovel or would I rather drive virtual race cars? And Mike has made the wise choice of joining us on the simulator today. And he's looking pretty quick out there, showing off a little bit of talent. This track, of course, in its half layout, maybe resembles a little bit more some of the club tracks that we get to race up here. Not a lot of world famous stuff on the western half of Canada. And as he crosses the line, that looks like our final time.
Yep, it'll lock us in for the 1 hour race coming up. Drivers are going to need a couple of pit stops. So with that grid locked in and a beautiful late afternoon in Virginia. A little bit of cloud around, but a dry race track and no rain falling on it. Ian Giebler will have the pole position from Andy Kosick. They'll be the front row for our 2 wide rolling start. And then Colin Lounsbury and Ryan Carwile, there they are, 3rd and 4th. Tim Wire was looking to improve, and you can see that just 1 or 2 tenths might have moved him onto the front row there, but he couldn't improve late on in the session, so he'll start out of 5th there alongside Jared Collins. And then the row behind is Michael Thorne and Brian Tidd. So that's an all-Canadian row, if you believe their iRacing registration. And then you have Orlando Herrell and Logan Senhauser in 9th and 10th. Mark Kruger in 11th. And then here we find our other Canadians, John Nicholford and Steve Hermé. Hermé if he's from Quebec, Hermetz if he's from anywhere else, apparently, Devon. We'll figure that out at some point. I want to pronounce him like the luxury and fashion label. And Charles Kowalczyk is going to start out of 14th. So we roll for the formation lap behind the iRacing unbranded generic Costco Kirkland sedan.
If I know anything about the French, I'd say I'm surprised that iRacing hasn't added a Quebec tag to the national clubs, because it's a nation. It's not it's part of our country, but it's a nation. Anyway, we're on thin ice.
Got an England, Scotland, Wales situation potentially going on there as well. And Canada is a big region compared to how it divides, across America, Club Ohio, Carolina, Midwest, etc., etc. Maybe you deserve for splits of Canada. Give us Quebec, give us Ontario, give us the Western Coast, give us Club Alberta. Why not? So this is Renault Clio's all ready to roll. Buzzy little things that they are. Very, very lightweight and raceable, chuckable. Front wheel drive lets you slide the tail a little bit and pick up the throttle and catch it. And I think for this time of year, this is as good as VIR could look. It's lush, it's green, the late afternoon sun. This is round 11 of 12 in 2024. Lots of great prizes to be won across the endurance special events that have all wrapped up, and then also across the participation where we're going to be doing a draw later. But for the outright points champion with a big chunk of ChampCar credit coming their way, this is what the outright points look like. Cameron Martineau from Joshua Soto, Jared Collins, Ian Giebler, and Tim Wire. Well, Cameron Martineau has been the winningest driver this year, but is not present tonight. The best driver who is here, Jared Collins, Ian Giebler. So this could be the shake-up in round 11 with just one more to go after this, our season finale at Sebring. But to work out VIR North, 1 hour of racing in the ChampCar iRacing series. The pace car is in. Ian Giebler leads us. The green flag will soon wave.
They're packing up.
They're packing up super tight in 2 rows here. Ian Giebler in red on the front there. On the outside of the front row, Andy Kosick in purple is going to get caught out a little bit off this start. The inside row is doing very well with Colin Lounsbury and Tim Wire there, orange and yellow. Heading into turn 1, cold-ish tyres, but thankfully the weather is dry. Bit of a lock-up around the outside there from Andy Kosick as he was pretty aggressive on his way in. But for Ian Giebler, perfect in qualifying, perfect through turn 1. We are underway.
Yeah, there's a lot of technology in that car. Oh, but not enough to keep them all on track. Locked up tires notwithstanding. John Nickelford and Charles Kowalczyk look like they got together. Set Kowalczyk flying. We'll see if we can get a replay of that. Just a little tag on the entry. Easy to do when you're heading into left hook. And we got another one off in the meantime. That's a yellow car. Mark Kruger. Looks like he got the wrong end NASCAR there. Got squeezed off track himself just a little bit later on. But cars carry on. No one hits a barrier. And the barriers are nice and far away here at VIR.
Still know some people talented enough to find 1 or 2 of them.
You know, if you try really hard, you can do whatever you set your mind to.
That's the kind of inspirational pep talk I needed as a child. And yeah, exactly. So Ian Giebler, great race start from him. Almost a second clear. Andy Kosick, Colin Lounsbury, a few of these others. You can see Ryan Carwile, sort of it's maroon and white for him there. Tim Wire behind, repping Team Salins.
Yeah, Giebler's gotten it all kinds of right to start and has managed to build up a little bit of a gap. And it'll be important if he can hold that gap. Oh, what are we seeing here?
Kosick's cut a little bit of the track, but other ways, even a word, to battle through the final corner there. Here's Andy Kosick giving up a couple of positions after he cut the track. Steve Hermé hit pit lane very early there, but it is so racy in the middle here. Andy Kosick's getting right back into it with Michael Thorne and then missing the left-hander. So easy to lock up in these cars. I don't think they actually have a whole lot of ABS going on as well.
Yeah, like I was saying, they're pretty simple, minus the sequential gearboxes, but you know, kind of a good car for a person to learn on, because it really lets you kind of put those principles of momentum and slip angle and all those nice things all together when you're working. Another lockup from Logan Sennhauser. He goes straight on before making the right-hander. Rejoins safely, stacks up a little bit.
There's a whole group here now as Andy Kosick has 8th place. John Nickelford is going to pick one away from Logan Sennhauser. Orlando Herald just in behind there as well.
Hey, no fair. How come Nickelford gets a Subaru? Oh, wait, it's just the paint job. I could tell that Haynes was laughing with his mic off, everyone. I got a camera on him.
I think I was a little bit more perplexed than delighted. I was trying to work out exactly what you were seeing in it. Ian Giebler is finding his pace right now. So Colin Lounsbury, Tim Wire, Ryan Carwile, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Just losing a little bit of ground to Ian Giebler, who seems to have this car and this track all figured out at the moment.
Yeah, we're seeing it though. It's a tricky little beast to work out, and placing these cars is really really crucial around here because you wanna hit the curbs, but such little tires, too much, and you're definitely costing yourself speed. Well, slow down there from Tim Wire. It looks like he might have cut a little too much at the bottom of the S's, so he had to lift a little bit on the straightaway and give up a spot. He's in that yellow car. Typical Salem sponsorship on the hood.
And other brands of hot dog are available, but why would you? So this is his view from on board. Nice little dash that you get reading out the RPM with the shift lights.
Yeah, and you also get the fancy little badge on the right-hand side too if you're driving these cars. So you get to have your name. Makes it extra immersive if you're wearing the VR headset.
Were you about to say if you're wearing a VIR headset? Because that's today.
Yeah, that's where my head was going, but we caught her there.
It's a marketing tie-in bound to happen. So closest positions are 5th and 6th, Michael Thorne, Jared Collins, Brian Tidd and Andy Cosick, 7th and 8th. 9th and 10th, John Mickleford and Logan Senhauser. Just a couple little fights going on. Andy Cosick with a bit of ground to make up after a slowdown from the final sector, and then also a little bit of a lockup following that.
Got to see Tidd run a little bit wide at left hook and slide it back onto the track. He's got Andy Cosick right up the rear end of him. You almost can't see Tidd in front of Cosick right now. Cosick running an atypically purple Renault livery. Not his usual color of mint.
Normally he's an incredibly reflective blue, not an incredibly reflective purple. He's branching
Guy
out.
knows. Yeah, I was going to say, Guy knows his metallic paints. Like, really has them down. Doesn't quite have the run required, though. It's a little tricky. You got to time it coming out of the lower S's, even if you get the better line.
It's the same roller coaster you know and love, but approaching at different speed, different angle. And then the same hog pen, get a little bit of air, a little slide, but then land, grip up in the depression, and then drive it down the front straight, fastest part of the racetrack. And that's where he'll find himself now. Andy Cosick crossing start finish line behind Brian Tidd. Colin Lounsbury goes and picks up the fastest lap of the race, interestingly, from second position.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's a quick run there from Collins. Almost a full 10th faster than anything we saw in qualifying. So maybe finding a little bit of benefit from a slipstream and a little bit of benefit from some ice lines.
Doesn't let Ian Giebler run away with it at all. Just chips a 10th out of him on that previous lap, and then different lines on their way into the uphill right-hander between Giebler and Lounsbury. Lounsbury gains a bit on the way in, and Giebler gains a bit on the way out. And then you're just trying to pick the line through what's apparently a lot of corners between the lower S's and then on your way to roller coaster. iRacing says that this is 20 turns in 2.2 miles. So it definitely counts every little flick and change of direction through the middle of this north course.
Yeah, on the other hand, if you go look at the official map, left hook's turn 4, so is the right-hander afterwards. And then the lower S's, that's turns 5 and 6. And then the right-hander's 7. It's all over the place. We got 2 wide on the front straightaway. It's Brian Tidd and Andy Cosick crossing the start-finish line, neck and neck. Cosick's got the inside line, looking to make a move, and he's driving it up the inside, and he manages to get that thing slowed down. Threw a little puff of smoke from someone else's tires locking up, but not Cosick's, and he makes the move nice and clean on Brian Tidd.
Moves up to 7th place. He started on the front row of the grid, and now he's going to come back a little bit, touch of smoke in the air in front. Again, these cars can be difficult to break. That's where the challenge is consistently for them. It's a bit too enthusiastic with it and sort of mash the brake more than use it more gently and help rotate the car with a little bit of trailing brake pressure.
Yeah, there's kind of an art to driving a front-wheel drive car, and to make it go fast. You got to get all that weight loaded up on the nose and have it real loose to begin with. Jared Collins is starting to put some pressure on the Canadian with the second most positions gained in the race today. That's Mike Thorne, just ahead of him as we see them come sweeping through Hogpen. Collins checks up a little bit, coming through Hogpen, gets right up on Mike's rear bumper. He's going to have a nice draft down here, and we're getting a nice angle of it. We'll see if he's able to make the move work. Mike moves to the right-hand side, pinches it off. This straightaway isn't quite straight. And even with the draft, it's not going to be quite enough for Collins. Oh, and he locks it up, and we see the ABS bite. And that Hot Wheels car goes for a drift through the grass. Manages to get back in, though, and that's only cost him about 5 seconds. So, pride, time, but no damage.
You can kind of see the point when he panicked a little bit, braked a little too hard and locked it up and then ran wide. So he needs to either look down the inside or on the racing line brake a little bit earlier. It's cost him just a little bit following that closely. So this is getting a little interesting inside of the podium positions. Ryan Carwile from third just took a new fastest lap of the race as he's really closed in on Colin Lounsbury. Last lap for Lounsbury, then he had just a little bit of loss of time, giving Ian Giebler now a 2.2 second lead. So get way closer here for second and third, just a little bit further behind the race leader there, Ian Giebler.
Yeah, the front of the pack keeping busy, but it's busy all the way through the field. We're going to see one here. Tid coming up in the background. Tid's in the foreground. We got John Nicholford in the background, and Nicholford's going to try and send one here. And Tid turns in, and Nicholford does not. And he goes off and explores the south course for a moment before rejoining the circuit. But as a result of that, there's 4 cars all in a row going down the front straightaway, and they're battling through for 9th through 12th. And then we've got a battle up at the front of the pack. That's second and third getting awful close together. Ryan Carwile and Colin Lounsbury pretty close through left hook here.
And all of your top 3 ran a 1 minute 35.8 on the last lap. So they've all hit approximately the same pace right here. There's plenty going on from some of the positions behind.
Yeah, they're struggling out there. It rained at the start of the practice, didn't it?
Yeah, so I think the track is sometimes called green in a situation like that when it's rained but then dried off.
Yeah, so not a lot of rubber down, and these cars aren't cars that have a lot of grip to begin with. Jared Collins is putting a lot of pressure on Mike Thorne through the upper S's. I don't know if we can get a shot of that. They were too wide for a couple corners through there. Thorne locks up the front right, but manages to get it to turn in anyways. But he's been fighting hard to hold off Collins. When Collins getting the run this time, and he's got the inside up onto the straightaway. And so Collins, even though just a couple laps ago he braked and he missed turn 1, he's going to try and get the side draft here. And it looks like Thorne, either he's got a little bit better of a shift point or a little bit better of a motor. I think it's the shifts. But Collins learned a lesson, and Thorne's going to take the wide line and roll a little bit more speed through.
I think he gets another late lockup though, so struggling with that, and we're going to go side by side, but then the track runs left.
It's so tempting when you're on the right-hand side going into left hook. Oh, we're going to see a move here. Collins is going to take it. Gets the apex, but not quite enough pace to take the move or take the spot. It's so easy when you're on the right-hand side going into left hook to think that you've got to move, but the track just, it doesn't really have the camber to give it to you. And while these two are battling, Andrew Cossack's just gotten right up behind him. He's going to be looking to make a move in a moment. And as you saw in the camera there, it's busy everywhere.
Yeah, it's all coming back together, and you've got another lockup for Mark Kruger. So he runs wide, loses a chunk of spots there. I think Orlando Herald goes through, able to get a little bit of the road from the Patriot course to get back on the racetrack.
We're going to see Tid here getting a little bit of help on the way. And he's missed the right-hander. But carried on.
Well, here we go. Into turn one. Around the outside is Andy Cossack. Jared Collins on the inside. And around the outside seems to be the place to go. There's a bit of a bump somewhere on the inside on the exit of the corner there. And Cossack continues to work his way up through the field. Comes as low as 8th, now back up into 5th.
Yeah, and Collins, having gotten past Thorne, has been kind of released with Cossack there. Now we're checking back in a little further up the field.
Carwell's gone to 2nd here. So Carwell's gotten ahead of Colin Lounsbury and sits 2.2 seconds behind Ian Giebler. So there's a chance that he has a little bit of pace he hasn't been able to show yet.
Yeah, he's been running quick through this section.
So maybe he's got a bit of speed. He's going to be able to catch Ian Giebler here. Only driver that stopped at this point is Steve Hermé. Let's split the difference on that one. Steve Hermates.
And we'll have to see how he feels about that if we get him in the booth one time.
If you saw it on the back of a hockey jersey, how would you say it, Devin? That's where you got to picture it. You got to picture it in its environment.
Well, if it's on a hockey jersey, then he's probably an out-of-province player, so I'd call him a Hermé.
Okay, well, that's an interesting. You just frame it like that, and it'll lead you towards truth.
Yeah, those Montrealers are always coming flying out west to play in the WHL. So, not the NHL, the WHL.
Nice livery for Ryan Carlisle as well. Feels like it suits Virginia Tech. Did he have some sweet walkout music that I missed earlier in the show?
Definitely possible.
On board John Nickelford. How can you know? Well, because it says Nickelford on the dash for him as he's behind Logan Sennhauser, but in front of Orlando Herald. This is where we've seen some drivers struggle with braking as you then turn up the hill and get to power. John Nickelford very tidily indeed. Never surprised to see just a little bit of tyre smoke from a lockup in the air in a few of these braking zones. I think the way the shape of the car is, it rolls a little bit and you can lock an inside. Particularly one of the inside rear tyres. That's always the front wheel drive thing, isn't it? Get soft springs on the front, a bit stiff on the rear, and then it'll sort of pitch very nose down into the corner and maybe raise an inside rear tyre.
Run here from Nickelford. He's trying to make the move up the inside of Sennhauser. Only one Sennhauser in the race today by the sounds of things. There's been a power outage back home, so we're only getting half the dynamic duo. Sennhauser, I think there got the left rear and the right front locked up, but that might have just been a little bit of drifting action. Nickelford just continuing to close the gap. We'll see if there's enough of a draft here, enough of a run, enough of a draft. And Sennhauser very aggressive in defending the inside before popping back out to the outside. But manages to make that late braking move work for him and takes a few car lengths up the hill.
Never ends and you never rest through that middle sector of the lap there. So they're sort of snaking back and forth to eventually take their braking zone into the roller coaster. So Logan Sennhauser is able to stay ahead. They're all catching Brian Tidd though, so it'll close up for all of these drivers.
Yeah, Tidd's showing some pace, but he's also showing some inconsistency tonight. So be curious to see if he can figure out how to make that be a little more stable, a little more consistent for him.
We'll go through turn 1 here. Brian Tidd ahead of Logan Sennhauser and John Nickelford, who were quite a bit quicker on the last lap. Sennhauser opens up a little bit more on the entry, and that's because Brian Tidd was in way shallow, way hot, ran off the track a little bit. Sennhauser didn't quite know what to do about it. John Nickelford almost ran up the back of him. Orlando Harrell gets a little bit closer. Now it's wide and off the track, kicking up the dirt again. Couple corners in a row. They're going to get through surely. Logan Sennhauser doesn't know what to make of this.
Oh, yeah, and it's 2x2. Nickelford loses another one to Harrell up the inside behind this action. It's spicy all over the place.
Logan Sennhauser's all up the back of Brian Tidd again, but even when Tidd was off the road, he wasn't able to pass him. Certainly an action group of drivers right here at the moment, but I mean, off track twice in the same lap. Surely Tidd's confidence a little bit broken by this pressure.
Yeah, he's definitely feeling it.
He's off to the left of the road on the front straight. It's Brian Tidd has Logan Sennhauser just in front of him now.
We're getting a shot here. This is just a few seconds ago. Collins and Cossack were looking real tight. Collins makes a dive to the inside and then dive back out and locks him up going off the exit. It's just got all kinds of racing. It's really hard to make an overtake. So these guys are working hard for him.
Certainly a little odd, as if he tried to change lines just as he was beginning to brake and lost the rear a little bit. Otherwise, why would you pull back in? So that was...
I think it was just a dummy gone wrong, if I'm honest, but that was an interesting one for sure.
Well, Logan Sennhauser's got through, and he's pulling away from Brian Tidd, and the next group of drivers is Orlando Harrell and John Nickelford here. Top of the hill, and now descending down towards the hog pen and onto the front straight again.
Harrell wearing a very prominent 421, so you know his car number.
Past pit entry, there's already a little bit of a dent on John Nickelford's car. And he scrunched that in just a little bit. He's going to look around the outside of Orlando Harrell here in turn 1. And is he going to run just a little bit too wide? And once you've got a little bit of dirt, you've got a lot of dirt. Brian Tidd also runs a bit wide. So Orlando Harrell, safe from one, picks off the other, goes through to 8th place. Tidd loses one more spot. John Nickelford had an opportunity to gain and couldn't, as he got in a little deep on the brakes. Michael Thorne makes a pit stop now. So a 1 hour race, having run 14 laps, Michael Thorne will take some fuel.
Yeah, we have seen a fair bit of drop off. front of the field still capable of running those 35s, but most of the rest of the field running 36s, 37s once the new was off the tires. And for reference, the front end of the qualifying was 35.2. Tim Wire is going to take a scheduled stop this time by. We're seeing that in the back of the shot while we watch Ryan Carwile and Colin Lounsbury cross the stripe.
Yeah, so here comes Tim Wire.
We might get a chance to see, keep an eye if there's any tires going on it. Tim Wire stops once, stops twice, and this time gets up on the jacks for tires.
Front goes up for Tim Wire. Got his nice Team Salem's race suit on there as well.
It used to honestly be a fun car to work on, but with having air jacks and everything. One of those fancy cheap race cars.
I thought it looked like it was just the front that was up, which would suggest that it gets jacked front and rear.
Okay, I thought it went all four up at the same time, and I was like, whoa.
So Brian Tidd sandwiched between Orlando Herald and John Nicholford for the moment.
Yeah. Oh, and Nicholford gets that little lockup. And Orlando Herald's going to come up the hill, and he's going to overtake Logan Sennhauser, who had his own lockup going into the right-hander. And we got a whole bunch of cars on pit lane.
Your top three, Ian Giebler, Ryan Carwile, Colin Lounsbury, all on pit lane at the same lap here. Sun's just broken through the clouds for a beautiful orange, golden, late afternoon. And you're seeing, it looks like the front more than all four is what's going up.
Yeah,
fuel going in as well.
Such a small vehicle, hard to say, but from the angle I was looking at, but I think you're right. And we're seeing lots of pit stops now. This is Sennhauser hitting the lane. We got Kruger hitting the lane and pulling out of the lane, our leader.
It's pretty equal all around at the first pit stop. Just a couple of cars that haven't stopped yet as well. There's a few more stopping now. So Ian Giebler, he's come out amongst right in the middle of that battle we were looking at earlier. Now he's between Brian Tidd and John Nicholford, who haven't stopped yet. So for at least this lap here, potentially a bit of traffic for Ian Giebler. Some drivers who saved a little bit more fuel have run longer. He's pitted out right with them, but he'll be expecting them to pit soon and free him up back to the lead of the race. There's a few of the others finishing up.
And we're watching the minty purple of Andy Kosick as he takes his shot down the lane.
Yeah, briefly leading the race, but now it's time for him to stop. Jared Collins stays out. Orlando Herald, my magic 8-ball says, will stay out.
He's well known for his fuel-saving prowess. But for a moment there, he almost tricked me. I thought he might make the move this time. He's being followed by who is probably our race leader on the track, Ian Giebler. Race leader after the stops have all sorted out.
Kosick and Tidd.
I was going to say, in the mix, we got Carwile trying to make a move past the lap traffic of Nicholford. We're seeing that now. Nicholford's in the blue and yellow car, Carwile in the red and white. Oh, and Carwile's going to make a nice move up the inside of NASCAR here. Pushes Nicholford a little wide. No touch. Oh, but Nicholford rejoins. Oh, and that's tough. Lounsbury's down a bumper. Oh, no, he got away with it. He got away with it. I thought that bumper was coming right off.
Now he's got one to match John Nicholford there as well. So it's always the challenge, pardon me, managing the traffic. That's what Ian Giebler's got to do now.
Yeah, just like in the ChampCar world in real life, you got to find your way past the back markers safely. And our final stops. Jared Collins hitting the lane. Driving past that famous pit building. And Harrell's going to do the same as he pulls out of the way, and Ian Giebler goes back to take the lead once again.
So John Nicholford follows in behind, and that'll be a pit stop for everyone. Ian Giebler approaching the halfway point, back to the lead of the race ahead of Ryan Carwile and Colin Lounsbury. Hot wheels of Jared Collins. Oh, it's going to come out right beside Andy Cosick, who just sneaks ahead. It's John Nicholford still getting his service. Orlando Harrell about to leave the pit lane as we've passed the halfway point. It's our race.
Yeah, the clock's just struck that 30-minute mark. Heck, we're even a little bit over. But these guys have kept us busy that it's hardly felt like it. But after the first half of the race, it's Ian Giebler, Ryan Carwile, Colin Lounsbury holding on to the top three. Tim Wire, Andy Cosick, Jaron Collins fighting for the next three. And then that battle from 7th on back, I don't know if it'll be settled before the checkered flag drops, because guys just seem to keep finding their way back together and then back apart once they all gather themselves up.
Cosick modulating a whole heap of the brake pedal on his way into the roller coaster there, trying to stay ahead of Jared Collins, and then Hogpen, that characteristic little slide as the track drops away. And what the track takes, it then gives back because there's so much grip once the track eventually comes back up to meet you.
Well, we got Cosick up on the screen. We might as well do a little bit of work here, Haynes. You mentioned earlier in the broadcast we've got some wonderful prizes on offer for all our drivers who compete, and not just the winners. Isn't that right?
Yes, correct. $250 of ChampCar credit. This is for the drivers who did all of the middle season races, all of the races over summer, and their name goes in to win those $250 of Champ bucks. You can see the names on the wheel: Cameron Martineau, Joshua Soto, Jared Collins, Andy Cosick, Logan Senhauser, and Orlando Harrell. So let's find out who is going to be $250 of ChampCar credit happier at the end of today, and spin the wheel. The answer is going to be the man on screen, Jared Collins. So he will be delighted with all of the racing that he's been doing. In fact, I don't think he's missed a race this season. That's why he was third in the standings as well. Just behind Cameron Martineau and Joshua Soto, some of our race-winning drivers. So there we go. Congratulations, Jared. And he might even also have his name on the wheel for the final 4 races of the year as well. And he's having a great time of it too. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I think his Acura Integra experience is showing up here. He races normally with HG Racing out of Wisconsin. And I think that's serving him well in this front-wheel drive car. And you're right, he's made every single round this year, and he's done himself pretty well. I think consistent top 10 finisher, and be racing a little cheaper next season. And
boy, is he racing right now for serious chunk of this race. Him and Andy Kosick have looked like they've had very similar speed. And so they were together. They made their pit stops, reunited together again.
Yeah, I think that's some of the real joy of the ChampCar series. Kosick's going to make a little bit of room here. I think he's got to slow down to serve. But some of the fun of the ChampCar series is just finding someone else to race with on track. Even if in the real world you might be racing over 50th and 51st, there's always going to be other cars around keeping you busy.
And so Collins goes into the top 5 there, just ahead of Andy Kosick. Ryan Carwile was the driver with the best hope of catching Ian Giebler. And they're still just about 2.5 seconds apart. So there's Giebler. Here's Ryan Carwile. I think the driver's just a little bit behind your leader got a worse time of the traffic as well when they pitted, because there was some cars between Giebler and Carwile, a little bit more traffic for second and third.
Yeah, Lounsbury definitely had that issue with the lap traffic. Trying to remember exactly who it was getting in the way anyways. But that slowed him down. And then Carwile, meanwhile, has managed to cut a little bit out of Ian Giebler's lead, but still just struggling right at the end of that draft range. You'd think if you could get to within 1.5 seconds, he might be able to get to the rear bumper. But as it is, 2.25 seconds, that's just a little too much. So we'll see if he's able to chop that down, and we'll keep an eye on that one as we head towards the last little bit of the race.
Yeah, just that little gap to Ian Giebler that Giebler's maintained this whole time, since about 5 minutes into the race, really. It's just that gap. Getting a little darker, but we will be done racing just before sunset at VIR North.
Yeah, and even though it's overcast, it doesn't look like there's any rain on the horizon. We'll see. Mother Nature always likes to surprise, but looking pretty clear. And we're just watching Carwile carve some clean corners here. He's showing you the way. If you need some driving notes for VIR, I'd say he's got the north half of the course pretty well figured out. Gets that nice clip of the apex really consistently. He's actually managed to take about 0.2 out of Giebler as they've come through this section of the course. Didn't see where Giebler had an issue, but that relative just keeps going down. And you can see how friendly a car like this is. Really good to practice on, really good to learn on.
Rear-wheel drive cars, you often see a lot of steering input on the turn in towards the apex, and then less steering input on the exit. It's front-wheel drive cars, you can see not much steering needed to get the nose in, and then as you get to power, quite a bit needed to keep the nose going the way you want, and often a little bit of understeer with the throttle on. And the rear wanted to dance just a little bit for him there.
But that's fast in those front-wheel drive cars. And with the limited slips they have on the front, you can get, you don't have to worry too much about spinning up that inside tire when you're accelerating off the corners, because that's always a risk. We're getting a little battle deeper in the field. I'm watching John Nicholford and Charles Kowalczyk get real close together through roller coaster that time. Nicholford was all over that bumper. Just trying to find the right moment to time it. Nicholford was running running as high as 9th at one point, but he's had a couple calamities, and now he's unlucky number 13 on the track. Trying to change that luck, though. He's threatening the inside, and breaking real late, and all the way through. Oh, tough luck. And we'll have to give him another shot at this sometime. See if he can figure out those ABS another day.
Wow. So straight in, straight out down the inside line there for him.
Yeah, I think that might be commentator's curse. You know, I put the camera on him and he goes to make the big move.
Well, this is all of a sudden very intriguing. 20 minutes to go. And Ian Giebler's lead has been cut down to almost a second. Ryan Carwile can smell something here with a tiny bit of a mistake, perhaps, from Ian Giebler last lap. A very good lap from Ryan Carwile as the only driver with a 1 minute 35, 135.4 there. And the two of them just get a little bit closer to keep some pressure on your race leader and to give Ryan Carwile some hope and a little bit of belief in this final third of the race.
Dangerous thing to give the guy trailing you when you're in this kind of position, but it's hard to be Ian Giebler too. You know, you've been leading all race, you've had that great pace, and you've had a gap, and so maybe you just don't feel like you need to push it quite as hard. And then all of a sudden, the guy in your rear view mirror, he's getting bigger and bigger.
Still staying at 1.2, 1.3 seconds for the moment. If Giebler can get another 5/10, is there a grappling hook of a slipstream on the front straight and some other parts of the lap that could help him?
We'll have to see. He's definitely doing everything he can. 2 laps ago, he was 2.4 seconds away. This time across the line, he's 1.4. Heck, 1.1.
A lot of gain braking into turn 1 there for Ryan Carwile, and then it goes out about a 10th on the exit. So different ways to drive a couple of these corners. Carwile overall just a tiny bit quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, just seeing different styles. Sometimes the aggressive inputs can work really wonders in the front wheel drive, just because you want to get the front end loaded up so much. Be a little brutal with it.
A few things going on. So Michael Thorne makes a second pit stop. He was one of the drivers who stopped on the earlier side. Charles Kowalczyk also has a black flag that I don't know what is from. It's got to be cutting the track somewhere, doesn't it?
I'm thinking so. I'm looking for it. I'll let you know what I find.
Ebb and flow of the race lead there. They're about to have Michael Thorne the lap down. So there goes Ian Giebler. There goes Ryan Carwile. 1.3 seconds like it was a lap or so ago. Tiny bit of traffic for your race leader. This is a shorter configuration of VIR, so it'll happen more easily than on the full course or some of the other longer race tracks we've driven on this year in the ChampCar iRacing series, like Road America or the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
Critically, a little bit of draft. Let's see if he can clear Mike easy. Mike doesn't make it easy. Closes the door for him.
Don't know if you can flash the headlights in this car. Ian Giebler would be tempted. He wanted to have a bit of a dive for it and then covered off. So covering again, I don't think that's particularly smart. Ian Giebler will try to get down the inside here. He's got a bit of nose in it, and Ryan Carwile will get through as well. It's a little closer for Ryan, but the race lead is suddenly much closer at half a second. It's not done any favors for race leader Ian Giebler just there. It's done us maybe some favors, because biting my fingernails a little bit, and we have a race on our hands. Round 11 of the ChampCar iRacing series in 2024.
Yeah, Carlisle had the gap down as low as 0.8 at one point there, but it had ballooned back out to 1.1 before they got to the traffic, and now this time across the line, we'll see what it is, but I have a feeling that, yeah, we're even closer, 0.7 at the line that time, and Carlisle gonna take advantage of a little bit of lap traffic to close things down. A little bit of Club Ohio on Michigan action here, so let's see. Pick your favorite, flip your coin.
Loser has to keep Toledo. That's not fair. I've traveled that part of the world. They're good people. It's nice in summer. Winter, it's probably not for me. Anywhere near the Great Lakes, but
I figure winter anywhere is probably not for you, but what am I to say?
Winter here it's okay. It's okay by me. Wearing shorts during the day. Maybe not wearing shorts in the evening, but during the day. And Ian Giebler, Ryan Carlisle, the closest cars on track right now. Tim Wyer's been taken a little bit out of Colin Lounsbury across the last couple of laps, though. So what the podium may look like at the end of this race, still anyone's guess.
Yeah, it's getting close back there. The last few laps, Lounsbury still had some pace to hold off fourth, but we'll see. We're watching. That's the gap now. You can see it. You got Wire in the background in the yellow car and Lounsbury in the orange car that we just switched off of. But that Salins livery is going to be putting some pressure. And back at the front, speaking of pressure, it's now under 3/10.
This is what Carlisle needed, just to be within that 1 second of the race leader, and then whatever tow there is to be had at these speeds and on this configuration, he's got it, and it just keeps him applying pressure on the race leader. They're 15 seconds clear of third place now. Here's some more different lines. They've not been driving identically, Ian Giebler and Ryan Carlisle.
Now that's using every inch of the track there. I don't know if that was intentional use of every inch of the track, but it definitely was every inch of the pavement.
Got the whole North course. We'll use the whole North course. Says Ian Giebler. So yeah, he was a little bit hotter on the entry, a little bit wider on the exit. Ryan Carlisle a little bit later in, and then a little earlier to some power. Same looks to be happening here through Hog Pen. So just a couple of car lengths for them. A little bit of traffic to be found a bit further up the road. Not going to worry Ian Giebler just yet. We'll be looking just a tiny bit more at his mirrors. It's John Nicholford in 12th place. That's still a couple of seconds ahead of them. Identical cars for all means it should take a little while for him to catch that. You're not a, C-class car bearing down on a 300-point Class E.
Well, and if you're Ian Giebler, you got to think that you're feeling a little bit of pressure, because it was just last year in 2023 that Ian took the win here, his first ever win in the ChampCar Series at this very same VIR North course, albeit last year in the TCR, which was a little bit quicker. So he's got some skills on VIR North, and he's got some skills in the front wheel drives. We'll see if those are enough skills to hold off Ryan.
Driving straight at the sunset here, facing west as they go across this part of the North course. Giebler gets the nose in earlier to a lot of these corners. Ryan Carlisle is thinking, if I can straighten it up, I can mash the horsepower, leap over the curb there, left-hander before turning into Hog Pen. Again, he's a little bit tighter on the exit than Ian Giebler is. Half a second to split them. 11 more minutes should give us 7 more laps of VIR North. And if you want a close battle anywhere in the field, this is where you want it. This is the gap between first and second place to take the win, to take the most points from VIR North.
And it's two really skilled front-wheel drive drivers. Ryan Carwile with Rad Air Racing, they're driving those Neons and having a great old time too in the real world. So I think two guys that got a lot of experience in cars like this, and we'll see which one's got the chops, got the last laugh, and maybe the last dive bomb by the time this thing's all said and done. Lap traffic keeps looming ever closer. They're closing the gap down to John Nicholford. He's now just a second up the road.
Again, an example, Ian Giebler gets the nose in towards the corner earlier. Ryan Carwile turns in later, takes a later apex. Giebler bounces across a bit of the curbs, and now he's got to worry about what John Nicholford's going to do through this challenging, lots of elevation final sector.
He might have some scars from the last time they got on a lap traffic.
Yeah, both of them leaping a whole heap of curb through Hog Pen as well. So just an awkward distance back in towards turn 1, where if you're Ian Giebler, you would not feel confident bombing down the inside here, but if you don't, you might get held up a little bit through the first half of the lap. This is near as close as it's been between our leaders this whole time.
Giebler, he almost parked at that time, gives himself a little gap on the exit, and we'll see. This was almost exactly where he had to make the move on Mike last time. Makes the move up the inside of NASCAR. Dive bomb. Carwile's going to try and follow him through. The inside line is blocked, but Nicholford dives off the track, and now they're too wide. Oh, and Carwile.
Giebler ran a bit wide. Ryan Carwile got his nose in, but didn't complete the pass. So 0.3 of a second between them. No traffic now inside the final 10 minutes of the race. And Giebler under all sorts of pressure. Here's Carwile with his later apex. Again, he does it in all sorts of places. Look for it on the way into the roller coaster as well. For Ian Giebler to sort of point towards the apex and get there, and Ryan Carwile to turn in a little bit later. Here they go. Yep, again, Carwile doing the similar thing.
Oh, it's good stuff. It's really good stuff right now. And Ian showing off some good lines through the upper S's there, or the upper half of the North Course S's. And he really seems to gain a little bit before they head into roller coaster. Meanwhile, Ryan seems to have a little bit more going through turn 1, going through the lower half of the track. So we'll see which half is the more important half here.
This is on board with the race leader. Got a bit of wheel work going on through the brakes and off throttle, and then it simplifies a little bit on corner exit when you get to use your right foot.
Giebler using some sort of engineering line there where he gets all the track and all the runoff and just clips the dirt on the exit. Well done.
Carwile's actually got the fastest end of straight speed according to my graphic as well. That's about 120 miles an hour, I think, if I'm reading it correctly. So yeah, he gets onto the straights with a lot of speed. He's picked up a good toe in a couple of places. And he has the fastest lap of the race to his name. He does not have the race lead or any laps led. This is the closest he's been, right? He's so close off Hog Pen.
Yeah, he got a good run through at that time. And we'll see. This is, of course, Ian, not Not usually the driver at the end of the race, usually sitting on the pit box.
Ryan Carwell had a little bit of a look. Ian Giebler will have seen it, but he makes no braking mistakes there. Carwell stays in second place. That was one of the best opportunities I think he's had.
Yeah, it's tight. I do like Giebler's line through left hook a little more, but then he doesn't seem to have the same line as Carwell through the lower S's here.
Right back all over him once again. This is first and second in the battle for the lead, and we are just a couple of laps from the checkered flag at VIR North. This is where Devin Peters thinks Ian Giebler makes a little bit of the time. Just picking the correct line, apex to apex, flowing on the connecting road for the North course.
And then it all closes down through roller coaster. And the lights are on, Haynes.
Yep, bit of headlight action right now in the final 5 minutes of the racetrack. Sun behind Virginia Hill, still some light in the sky on this mostly cloudy day. You need the headlights on because this is going to go down to the final 3 laps. That's how many we have left of VIR North. 2.2 some miles. 3 more times. Ryan Carwell is right with Ian Giebler, the pole sitter, led the most laps. Carwell has the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, and they're keeping it close. For those wondering about the rest of the top of the field, we got Colin Lounsbury and Tim Wire about a second apart, running third and fourth. Jared Collins, a distant third, about 10 seconds behind that. Andy Kosick, another 10 behind that. Logan Sennhauser, Mark Kruger, Orlando Harrell, and Ryan Tidd rounding out the top 10. But the battle for now is at the front.
See, there's one lap down car between Colin Lounsbury and Tim Wire there. So Wire is going to close in and try to fight it out. Ryan Carwell's looking for a mistake from Ian Giebler to try to take the race lead, and none have been forthcoming. Yeah, being quicker in this car is one thing. We've seen does present a challenge to try to make a clean overtake. So even when Ryan Carwell's looked really good off Hogpen, he hasn't been close enough to try to outbrake Ian Giebler. He's been doing it very well. Here's another opportunity to be super close through Hogpen. 2 cars back. But does it mean you have a chance to try to take the lead into turn 1?
Haynes, I've been doing some math and looking at their averages over the last 5 laps. 7 thousandths of a second separate their last 5 laps on average. It's real close here. I think you're right, though. Even if Carwell does get to the bumper, will he have enough to make the move on Giebler? Or will he be able to put enough pressure on Giebler to make the move happen?
It's also real close on how many laps we are going to run within this 1 hour. Keep your eye on the timing. Ian Giebler. No car lengths to Ryan Carwell through here. What are you going to do? Underneath the bridge before the right-hander up the hill? Throw it down the inside there? Is it a big enough braking zone? You're trying to think, if I can't pass in turn 1, where can I pass? Because you're running out of time to count on a lock-up or a mistake from Ian Giebler.
Left-right combo at the top of the hill. Just Ian seems to have a little bit more crucially that gives them the gap to a roller coaster, because that is another good passing opportunity, but Carwell will need to find something in order to be a little closer. 4 lengths back won't cut it.
So here's the question of timing. They're doing lap times of 1:35. You can see they'll actually be about 1:40 crossing the start finish line here, and there is no white flag waving. So it is 2 more from here. Ian Giebler and Ryan Carwell, Colin Lounsbury and Tim Wire as well. Wire's not quite as close as he would like to be coming on 2 laps to go compared to how close it is and remains between our race leaders.
Yeah, the question will be fuel then. Who fueled enough? Because if this is going a little longer than expected, we might have some drivers that are a little light.
Certainly possible. Here's the race leader. In his mirrors, you can see his eyes, but in his mirrors, you can't see how close Ryan Carwile was, which is about 0.2 of a second back. 3 big braking zones of the lap are turn 1 into the right-hander after the lower S's and into the roller coaster. Can any of them be a place that Ryan Carwile tries to get through? Tim Wire has gone to 3rd place. Lounsbury's got a bit of damage. He had that a little bit earlier. But Tim Wire now through onto the podium. Ryan Carwile's gone wide at the top of the hill at the roller coaster. Heading towards the white flag, Ian Giebler will have a margin of multiple seconds. As Carwile tried to get close enough, but he won't.
Yeah, we've skipped back pretty far there, but Carwile at the top of the S, as you see it here, he turns right and then in the way into roller coaster here, he doesn't quite lock it up, but he brakes just a little too late, goes wide deep into the grass, and that might very well have settled our battle for first place.
Because we start the final lap of the race from VIR North. Ian Giebler leading by 3 seconds now from Ryan Carwile. No chance that Tim Wire or Colin Lounsbury get him though. There's another 20 seconds or so. I think Colin Lounsbury is needing to save an incredible amount of fuel, and that's how Tim Wire has gotten onto the podium. Lounsbury, he's let some of the traffic back through. He's lost 5 seconds on the last lap, and he's rolling that Renault into every braking zone. Is he even safe from Jared Collins, who's, I'd say no, based on how much time Lounsbury lost last lap. If he loses the same this lap, Jared Collins is even going to get him for 4th. That's the next car behind. So the lead might not be decided on the final lap here, but Colin Lounsbury is trying to hold on to as many positions as he possibly can. Through the roller coaster for the final time, to the hog pen for the final time. Ian Giebler is looking for a front-wheel drive Renault Clio win in round 11 of the ChampCar iRacing Series for 2024, sustaining immense pressure through the middle of the race, but he leads the most laps. He had the pole position. And from VIR North, Ian Giebler will take the win.
Quality stuff, quality drive, a lot of pressure. He ran out of fuel,
right?
And I think right as he crossed the line, he ran out of fuel. Ryan Carwile crosses the line in 2nd place, well fought, and in the end, just one little mistake making the difference. Tim Wire going to come and bring honor to the Salen's name with that yellow car crossing the line in 3rd place. Colin Lounsbury still sputtering down the front straight, and he's losing time. We'll see if Jared Collins gets a spot and some champ bucks. It's not quite enough, and he's going to finish in 5th place. Andy Kosick next on the road in that purple metallic car, and followed by Logan Senhauser, who's just coming down the slope towards Hogpen.
Bit of kudos to Colin Lounsbury there, realizing that he was going to have to saved enough to just hold off Jared Collins on the final lap by 0.3 of a second as he spluttered his way to 4th position. Remainder of the drivers are going to take the checkered flag. He's Logan Senhauser in 7th, Mark Kruger just behind him in 8th, and then there's 2 drivers who managed to stay on the lead lap to Ian Giebler, Orlando Harrell, and Brian Tidd. All the Canadians ended up in order.
Yeah, they all gathered up down there. Unfortunately, didn't have quite the races that they hoped. We have to get them a snowy track. Really, Haynes, that's what we need.
Yeah, when are they going to scan like ice racing or something We'll see. Ian Giebler was the winner. Ryan Carwile pushed him the whole way, but couldn't sustain it, and Ian Giebler was unflappable. Tim Wire took that third place late on as Colin Lounsbury needed to engage some fuel saving, and he did just enough just in time to hold off Jared Collins. Then Andy Kosick, Logan Senhauser, Mark Kruger, Orlando Harrell and Brian Tidd, John Nicholford, Michael Thorne, Steve Hermé and Charles Kowalczyk, our drivers from VIR North.
And that was a good finish, a good race for us here today. And we'll see if we're able to get any of those folks in for an interview. In fact, I'm seeing third place, Tim Wire. Tim.
Oh, hi.
Pretty solid race out there for you today. It looked like you had fourth place locked up, and then all of a sudden at the end, it was third.
Yeah, I didn't think I had the speed for those guys ahead of me. I was missing something. And, in these cars at this track, that's thousandths of a second in a corner, So I was like, okay, well, I'll just ride back here and see what I can do. And then after the stop, I saw Colin was running like mid 36s. And I'm like, I wonder if he doesn't have enough fuel. So I just really tried to basically take all the tires would give me there and really tried to drive some laps. Overdrove a couple laps. Really bad, actually, but was able to get up to him there. And then he pulled off right when I got there, and that's when I realized he was definitely out of fuel. But I was like, on the one hand, sure, I'll take third, but it was going to be fun to battle for it. So all in all, good. Good job for Ian. He really dominated this one there. I know Ryan got close at the end, but I think he led pretty much the whole race. So awesome for him, man. That was really fun.
Yeah, he goes back-to-back. VIR North for his first win last year, and VIR North again, albeit TCR to Renault Clios.
No. Last year was me. I won last year.
I thought he had it last year.
No, that was my first win last year. He won. He won at Laguna last year or maybe 2 years ago. I don't know. Either way, it was another front-wheel drive car. Something about these front-wheel drive cars, Ian and I really like them. No, actually, for whatever reason, I think I've never finished worse than third here. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's the front-wheel drive cars, if it's something about VIR North. I wish I could say that at other racetracks, but every time we come here, it works out. Today, I kind of lucked into third, but hey, third's a third, I guess.
We'll have to get you guys out in a neon on VIR North. Maybe that'll,
there we go.
That'll do it.
For sure.
Cheers, and thanks for putting on a good show tonight. We'll see you at the next one.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Always appreciate it.
So that was third place, Tim Wire. We've got plenty to chat with. Like second place, Ryan Carwile. You really had a sniff of the race win there, and these cars, they make passing difficult. You need a mistake, and you didn't get one from Ian.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. We were too close to just go up and pass them on speed. And honestly, I think that little bit with one of the lap cars, that got me an opportunity to kind of sniff the draft. So I was kind of just hanging around. But yeah, I was hoping on a mistake, but like you said, I didn't get one.
Tell us about the Virginia Tech car.
Yeah, I'm an alum. Graduated in 2012. Big fan of football. Not so much on the basketball this year, but we'll see. Still a long season.
Did a little bit of local pride give you just that little bit more to compete today?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's only I think maybe an hour, 2 hours from VIR. I actually went to VIR a couple of times when I was in college, so it's kind of cool.
Did you ever run that champ car that they were running for a bit at the university there, or am I thinking of a different school?
Well,
I don't.
2012, perhaps not, Devon.
Yeah. I did work for. There was a Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup, so I volunteered for that a couple of times when I was in college.
Well, there we go. You really gave us some great racing towards the end there. You and Ian Giebler had some different lines through a chunk of the corners. Are you finding there were different ways to drive this car, attack the corners?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of weird. The corners I thought we were attacking different. I thought I had the advantage, but I think when I felt like I was on the same line, I felt like I was losing time. So something I guess to do with the steering and the gas and the brake inputs maybe a little bit different as well.
It is a French car after all. Congratulations, great racing, decent haul of points from here as well, and there's one round left of the ChampCar iRacing series for 2024 at Sebring. Hope to see you there, and hope you've enjoyed your racing this year.
Yeah, for sure, I'll be there.
Second place, Ryan Carwile. Race winner, Ian Giebler joins us, Devon.
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
I'm feeling pretty good because I got to watch a great race between you and Ryan. It was close there at the end.
Yeah, he had me sweating. After we both had pretty good pit stops. I had to battle a little bit of lap traffic, and then I had to fuel save. He was about 4 seconds behind me, and then as I was fuel saving pretty early on, it was telling me I was going to need to. He got within about a second of me, and then once he was in my draft, I just held on for dear life.
Looked like you were pushing it to the limits by the end, so that fuel save paid off, and you did end up going a lap longer than expected.
Oh, yeah, that worked out then.
And a solid race from you, and a solid result. Anything you were noticing? We were kind of watching from the booth, seeing you and Ryan running pretty different lines. Any secrets to pass on to the audience here?
You know, I noticed that as well when he was in the rear view. There were parts of the track in turn one, he'd get about a 10th on me, and then up through like the S's up the hill, I would gain it back on him. I think I was just driving a little more of the curbs than he was up through that. And then we were kind of equal pace throughout the rest of the track. So it was really watching for anyone to make one little minute mistake and see what happens. I don't know what happened to him at the top of the hill, if he just locked up his brakes or what, near the end there. But he's a real good driver. I was pretty happy to be able to hold him off.
Yeah, it looked like you guys were pushing pretty hard. Anyone you need to shout out in thanks for today's victory?
As always, Summit Racing for letting me take the pace car out tonight. That was a nice little treat. That David made some pretty good jokes in the Discord. If you look at the photos from the practice race, it was a pretty surprised to see a dry course, but it was good. Muscle memories there. Even when the track was wet, I'm still recalibrated and was able to get up to speed real quick. So happy with the result. Thank my wife for getting the kids to bed as always. I think I just heard Alexa telling my son to get to bed. That's not my wife's name, but she must have done an announcement on there.
Nice. Well, cheers, and looking forward to having you at the next one. We'll see you in that GRH6 at Sebring.
Absolutely, and congrats, Tim, for getting on the podium with me.
Cheers.
All right, thanks, guys.
And Haynes, we got one more guest for the booth tonight. One guy who is going to perhaps be a little bit surprised. How you feeling, Jared?
Feeling pretty good.
Would you feel better if I told you won 250 champ bucks tonight?
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, for sure. That's amazing.
Congratulations. You're the winner of our rounds 5 to 8 Best Be Here draw. So for showing up and doing 50% of the laps in all 4 of those races, your name got entered into the draw and you were the lucky winner tonight.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. That's awesome. Definitely will put that to some use coming up.
I was going to say, what you planning?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've been having a lot of car issues. Last year at Autobahn, we blew up a CV twice, lost a distributor in the race. So we've been getting the car back together. Hopefully Gingerman will be the next race we run in April. If not, we'll be back at Autobahn next year, I think. So we'll definitely be putting it towards either Gingerman or Autobahn.
Sounds good. Gingerman's a good time with that a big old straightaway there. Suits the car.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got an Integra, so it's pretty light, and it does better on the smaller tracks.
Mm-hmm. Well, good stuff, and happy to have you out, and glad to be able to give back.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This league's a ton of fun, so I really enjoy making all the races, and obviously this makes it even better. This is a cherry on top, but really appreciate you guys putting it on. It's a really fun league to be in.
Well, thanks to you for coming out and putting on a good show.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, there we go. Some pretty happy people after that racing. It was close. It was pretty competitive. And that's always what we hope to get from the ChampCar iRacing series. It's one round left to go to decide the championship. Like you said, Devin, it's Toyota GR86s at Sebring.
Yeah, should be a good show, and another spec car and a nice tight battle ahead, I'd expect. And always fun to see what the cars do when they go bouncing over the bumps at Sebring.
Forum.champcar.org is where all the information about the ChampCar iRacing series is. If you want to join us for the final race or for the coming year, we look forward to seeing what happens at round 12 at Sebring. I've been David Haynes with Devin Peters, Michael Derby. You'll catch us again for the final round in all the regular places. We can't wait to see you for the finale at Sebring.